Hey guys, welcome back. BDCKR here. We're back with Season 9, Episode 12 of our weekly Q&A video/podcast. And whichever one you're on now, I'm not going to tell you how to access the other one. You're here or you're not here. There's a way to watch it on video. There's a way to watch it in audio-only format.
To watch it.
Or to listen to it, in audio-only format on podcasting platforms. Mm-hmm. And if you want to figure out how to do the one that you're not on right now, you're going to have to figure it out yourself.
Big ol' secret.
Well, I can't be here. I can't be here every week and walk you through exactly how to do it. This isn't a tutorial on how to listen to us on the podcast.
No.
Apps, if you want to, you can find us. And you can. I think you actually can just look us up, actually, on some of them. Like, probably. I think on Spotify, I think you can just look us
100%.
up. We're not very popular, so I don't know. This might be one of those situations where even if you're looking up exactly what we are, they somehow manage to find something. And they go, there's no way you mean these guys. Yeah. There's no way. You got to be thinking about something that actually gets views, but you know. Anyways, so our first question of the week comes from Haunter, and we're actually going to talk about injustice this week, probably. So they say, hey guys, any idea if there are any early online reward glitches? Years back, I remember there being some, so you'd get in the top 1% and glitch the app to cash out your 1% rewards while the season is still going on. Also, does the promotion glitch listed in your working glitch playlist still have a way to do it since there's no more online pop-up? I have 5 online characters, I have 1 copy, and that would make getting them 10 extra each a breeze.
So what's hilarious about this? So this is an older question, so for people who have not been paying attention, we used to have enough questions every week so that we just do questions that were in the last 7 days. Lately, there have been fewer questions, so we accumulate them, we answer them as we go, and we keep a running list so that we don't have there's not the same danger of running out of questions.
And we ramble a lot more.
We do. And I like the name, actually. Haunter it feels like it's a tribute to Pokemon.
Yeah.
And so the funny thing is, we've been doing our recap video. So this was a comment on a recap video. We've been doing recap videos for, I want to say, a few years. So it's well over 100 times. Mm-hmm. And it's only in the last 2 months that we thought, you know what, we talk about the glitches every time. And we go into detail. And it feels like people probably don't want to hear it because we go over it so much. And especially when nothing changes. So we decided last month that we would do those sort of detailed recaps, more than just the videos that are listed in the playlist, to once a month, right? The first week of the month, we refer you back to it. You can go back and see all the details if you want, or just you can know that there's nothing changed, or you can watch the list or whatever, right? The playlist we have our videos.
Yeah.
And the first week we did this is the question.
Yeah, which is very funny.
It is funny, because I wouldn't have thought either there are people who are picking it up new every once in a while, or it really is just that the one time, you know, when people say, I've never done this before, like a criminal that says, I've never done this before, this is the first time, and you don't really believe them.
Yeah.
And I feel like this is that kind of thing, only it might actually be true that we are picking up, as we're quickly losing old viewers, we're picking up new viewers.
And this is somebody who has been around for a couple of years, though, even, not even a new viewer.
Is it?
Because they say in the comment, years back I remember there being some, so you'd get in the top 1%.
But they're playing, but they weren't watching us.
Yeah, well, whether or not they were watching us.
Yeah.
I mean, they could have been.
I guess so. And not paying attention?
Early rewards glitch? I don't know. Maybe. Maybe they were watching us, and when they were more involved, they watched into the videos, or they were watching us but didn't watch that video or that part of that video, or they just watched the glitch videos, or whatever.
Yeah. So
I think it's a little bit of an assumption to assume that somebody consumes all of our content just because they watch some of our content.
So I feel like that the interesting thing about this and why it's an interesting question is that it really undercuts a lot of the assumptions that I've made about who's watching and who's not. Mm-hmm. I mean, clearly it's not representative of the entire audience. And I'm not sure that our audience is homogeneous enough that we can make any assumptions. But I feel like, okay, so there's clearly, it doesn't take much when you're refuting something. All you need is one instance, and we've got one instance now saying that there are people that are coming to us relatively fresh in any given week.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. That's why I included this on our list.
Yeah. So that's kind of fun. Yeah. It's kind of like so Bug Hunter. I talk about him a lot, but I like him a lot. And I think
this is
some parallels. He's a musician. Yeah.
Right,
Look up Bug Hunter on Spotify or YouTube. And listen to him because he's very good. He's a good singer. He makes great music. He's got
Right.
fun stories. A good
Right.
lyricist. Listen to Bug Hunter. I'm going to
Right.
plug Bug Hunter every time. Seriously, go listen to Bug Hunter. He's awesome. But recently, so he does live streams twice a week,
Right.
which are a lot of fun. But afterwards, he uploads the video on demand, the VODs, which is just automatically through YouTube. It sort of records it, and so he uploads those streams. And the thing is that he has one YouTube channel, and so he posts. He's got his music videos and he's got his other stuff. This would actually be a great time for people to chime in the comments and get people's perspective on this, because I had a certain perspective and a way of understanding this, but I might not be right. So I'd love to hear people talk about their sort of personal experience with this. But when you would go to his channel, his feed would be live streams for rows and rows.
Right.
And you'd have to go back pretty far to get to, like, he has music videos, he has, like, some animated stuff, he's got some, cool videos. There's his earliest video, for example, is him surprise playing for his brother at his wedding. He wrote a song for his brother.
Okay.
And he's got a video where at one of his shows, some fans got turned away because it was, like, I think a 21 plus show or an 18 plus show, whatever. They weren't old enough. It was like a venue where they were serving alcohol and they couldn't let in minors.
Right.
And so him and his band set up in the parking lot and played them a song. They said,
Ooh,
pick a
cool.
song, and then they played a song just for that.
That's so cool.
Those people got turned away.
Okay.
Well, he's a cool guy.
Yeah.
Turns out he's a real nice guy. But anyways, so there's all that stuff, and then there's a lot of live streams, and so it's sort of this balance. And recently, it's been a bunch of live streams, and then all of his old stuff is all of that sort of stuff, which is like either an individual song and some kind of content or something cool, right?
Right.
And so my sort of perspective is when I find somebody and I go through their channel, I look at that video feed. And that's often if I'm trying to watch more stuff by the same person, that's how I sort of catch up, and that's what I'm looking for. And so to me, when I went on that, and I noticed it because I went on his channel one time, and there was all these live streams, and it felt a little cluttered to me. And these are all these like hour plus videos, and they're pretty fun. But they're not the kind of thing, if you're going on a musician especially, you don't necessarily want to see 20 like 30 minutes to an hour.
So you're
like,
speaking
videos.
to the different kinds of viewers that come to it, and sort of trying to guess at what a lot of them are looking for.
Well, and it made the thing is, in my opinion, it made his feed really cluttered.
Right.
So I know that a lot of YouTubers do the thing where they segment stuff, or they have second channels, right? And they have their different types of stuff. And so I said to him, I was like, I think you might be better off, especially because you were talking about, a couple hundred views on a lot of the live streams, which is still, good numbers for his older stuff. But couple hundred views on that. And then the music videos and stuff obviously are like in the thousands of views because they're, a lot bigger. They're more sort of the type of thing that you'd be accumulating that kind of views on.
Right.
As I said, it clutters up your feed a bit. I would say maybe post them on a second channel or whatever.
Well, see, so here's the thing. I mean,
move them somehow.
It's been a long time since I've actually done anything to mess around with their own channel. And I think you can organize how you do stuff. So the way people look at your videos is by default the more recent one.
Yeah.
But in terms of when they land on your channel, you can organize how people look at it.
Yeah, the homepage.
Yeah, the homepage.
Yeah, but I again, so this is why I want to know from people. If you're looking at somebody's channel, do you go to their homepage and find stuff from there? Do you go to their videos tab so that you can look at it chronologically? How do you look at it? And when you go to the videos tab, is my feedback good? Because I know that in general, how YouTubers do it is they try to segment stuff and they try to have multiple channels and they'll put similar type of content and they'll accumulate it so that they can have independent feeds where ideally somebody who's subscribed is mostly looking at the one type of thing that they want to see.
So if you're going to do that, then if you're going to segment it, to me, it's like a forum. Sometimes when the forum has too many things, too many sections to start with, you don't have enough volume to actually sustain it. And that it's worth it when you've got enough volume.
But he does. He has a lot of volume.
Well, I mean, I don't mean in terms of volume of videos. I guess in terms of volume of people who are participating and looking at it. So if there's that's interesting because when you land on the channel, and you set up the homepage, you can set it up so that there's things that you recommend. Yeah. And then there's also a section by default that it looks like your videos where it goes chronologically. Yeah. And it's interesting. I don't know that I wouldn't. When I look up somebody on YouTube,
Yeah.
which clearly is not as often as you, though, I look at their channel.
Yeah. And just their home? You don't go to
I
their
look at the
videos
home
tab?
and I start with that, because then I think this is what they're, the face that they're presenting to people. And then I look at the playlist that they generate, and sometimes I'll go to the most recent stuff, if only to see what they are now. That's interesting.
Yeah, so this is why I want to hear people, and I think everybody here who watches YouTube has something to say about this. So I think every single person who feels comfortable with it, I would love to hear your feedback.
I think sorry, I got sidetracked on my own point. I sidetracked myself. So I think the important thing is if you're going to split it into separate channels, you need to really make sure that you tie them close enough together. There's a strong enough branding that you know that when you look at one thing, you're easily able to get to the other, like in an intuitively obvious way.
Absolutely. And so there's how people watch it, right? And whether any individual person would be turned away or not. But then there's also the question of the YouTube algorithm, which, if somebody is subscribed to you and you watch all of their videos, their new stuff will just sort of show up in your recommendations. Right. You don't need to go to your subscription tab the same way. YouTube will sort of do its best to make that content find its way to you. And the more stuff that comes up that somebody posts that you don't look at, the sort of more de-emphasized it is in YouTube. Right. And the other thing that I don't know is that it's also entirely possible that because he's streaming these and these are going up after he streams them, that's different too. That YouTube weights it a little bit differently and assumes that, But anyway, so I said that to him, and his he was like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to private all of them. I'm going to unlist them, right? And then if somebody mentions it, I will figure out something.
Private the streams.
The streams, yeah, and I think only keep the ones up for the last month, because he looked at the analytics and he said basically nobody watches them like a month after they're out. By that point, the views sort of drop off to basically zero. And so if it's busying up my feed, I can just have it rolling so that you can see the last month, and then it's, like a line or two on my video feed instead. I said that makes sense. And then I was at the live show on the 20th, and he said...
Are you doxing yourself?
I don't think any of our fans were there, but maybe. But he said, one of his fans specifically asked. He was like, "Oh, what happened to the streams?" One of the watchers, and I don't know if they were actually watching it or if they just noticed the difference in the feed. They didn't specifically seem to be like, "Oh, I really wanted to see them all," but also, so it reminds me of this a little bit, where they go, "Hey," and then the information the second we put it away, where Bug hides the stream, and he goes, "Oh, well, if anybody says anything, maybe I'll figure something out." And then immediately someone's like, "Hey, what happened? What happened with that? What's up?" Right. Yeah.
I mean, the other thing that you could do, instead of trying to maintain two separate channels, is to have the streams, once they're private...
In an unlisted playlist?
On an unlisted playlist, but also maybe put those on a secondary channel once they become... unlisted from the first.
Yeah, and I don't know how much work it is to upload stuff to a secondary channel. I mean, I think you could also just maybe do a playlist of live streams where all of them are unlisted, but the playlist is public, so that people can get at it that way.
That would actually work.
There's different options. But anyways, so I just thought that was a funny sort of parallel.
So the most difficult thing is what you don't want to do, especially when you aren't quite at the volume that you want to be, is that people who want to access it can't, who are aware of it, want it, and don't know it. Because if you've separated by maybe making it all private or putting on a different channel, that it's not really obvious to them how to get to it. Because, you want... I've always thought that it's not so much that there isn't enough good content. There's just plenty of good content. It's always a struggle to find the audience.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, so that's just that. That's a bit of a fun...
interesting.
Yeah. So anyways... Our next question comes from 1QP, and they say, this isn't a question, this is just really a comment. They say, "I started watching your channel as a freshman in high school. I'm in my 5th year of college." And so this one's kind of fun, because this person seemingly has pretty close to tracked my experience.
So you're following the same story arc.
Very similar. I mean, I don't remember exactly when we started this, but they're my age, give or take, a little while. Right. And they've been following this channel for, they say, "I started watching your channel as a freshman in high school. I'm in my 5th year of college." The implication is that they followed our channel this whole time.
Well, they must have, though.
Well, no, they could have just stopped watching and then come back. They say, "Started watching as a freshman in high school."
There wasn't enough separation.
What do you mean?
So if they were a freshman, so if they did, let's assume they didn't skip any grades, If we're going to assume that they hit the equivalent of grade 12 before going to university, as a freshman, they couldn't have watched it as a freshman before we existed.
Yeah.
So if the earliest, if they started watching it as a freshman, but we'd already been a year or two of content, they'd still be in the middle of university, of college. You see what I'm saying?
No, but I'm saying I don't know if they've been watching us the whole time.
Oh, but they would have had to be watching like from the very beginning, close to it.
Pretty close. Yeah. That's not the part I'm arguing with. The implication is that they've been watching us the whole time, but they might have just been like, "Wow, you guys are still doing it."
Yeah, no, because there are people that definitely wander off and come back.
Yeah,
and it's interesting, like the split between the value of subscribers and views. And it's funny how when you talk to somebody who maybe has a little bit less experience on the behind the backside of YouTube.
Yeah.
Backside. That's like bum. The backside of YouTube is that, subscriber numbers seem like such a big deal. And they're not really.
They're a bigger deal for channels that have more subscribers actually watching the stuff. Yeah, but they're not as good of an indication of how many views somebody's going to get as you think they are. Right. It's interesting how much... I think it used to be a little different, though. I think that's the interesting thing with the YouTube algorithm is this kind of inscrutable thing. And for all that we talk about that kind of stuff, I mean, we don't know a huge amount about it.
Right.
We don't really have much that's not public information. Right? In terms of the YouTube algorithm. But there's a lot of stuff we've just spent more time thinking about it because it matters more to us.
And we've had a lot of experience being at different points on the curve.
Yeah.
Right? On our way up, at our top, and now on our way down.
Yeah.
So you say that we don't have much more access than just what's public knowledge, but what's considered our public knowledge, like the stuff that we have access to in terms of our own numbers and metrics.
That's true.
Is interesting. It's very illuminating, I'll say, because when you talk about how much the ad revenue has dropped, how low the views have got, I'm still in an interesting way because it matters to other people. I would like to say that we are still grateful for people who subscribe to us that have not decided to unsubscribe, because those number of subscribers actually matter to the people who are still offering us stuff.
It's social cachet.
It's
a little bit of social capital, even if it doesn't really mean anything to us in terms of how many views we get.
Right. So have I talked about this yet? The 1 week, do you remember the 1 week I was in Montreal?
Yeah.
And I was doing the filming, and the laptop mics are kind of awful, and it was an awful laptop too. It was like basically a netbook that I've upgraded the RAM and the hard drive to make it more like a real laptop.
It's not a good machine,
but I don't know how they pronounce this. I think it's Maono, Maono.
Yeah.
They sent us a microphone
just for free,
for nothing. They found our channel clearly. Not because one of them was watching it. Well, maybe I shouldn't say that. The likelihood that one of them was watching it is pretty low.
Yeah.
And there's a good chance they picked us up because of our subscription numbers.
Some metric, yeah.
Yeah, some metric that has nothing to do with how many views we get.
Yeah, they offered to send us a free mic.
And it was pretty good.
Yeah, and so the cool thing is that every once in a while people will just do stuff like that. And so I guess this is a little bit of a thumbs up to them. Here's the thing. If we're going to recommend something, right, we tend to be a little cautious with it. So what we'll say is that we don't really know audio stuff from anyone. Right. So we're not an expert in the field. We don't have really any sense of what's good and what's not, or what's a great price and what's not. And we didn't pay for it, so we can't say that this is a great deal and that you should definitely buy it. But what we can say is that our experiences with them have been pretty solid so far.
Yeah, so Maono, the mic is pretty good. I don't even think they sell that model anymore. Like they pulled it soon after. And that's not a reflection. I mean, I've been happy with it. We use the Blue Yeti when we're at home.
Yeah, us and everybody else.
But traveling, it's a nice, solid USB mic. The Maono, they call it the Maono Fairy. I'm looking at it right now. It's nice and small. It's compact. The sound seemed like it was pretty good. Nobody was complaining about it after.
Yeah.
But I think, where was that coming from? Oh, no, just that it's interesting that I think if we weren't doing this, we wouldn't realize how little the subscription numbers matter.
Yeah.
Although maybe they're just like a gatekeeper, like to keep people out, because they still have those thresholds, right? Mm-hmm. Where if you don't have enough time watched, you don't have enough, is it views? Maybe it's total time watched and subscribers.
Yeah.
Then you don't get to monetize your channel. You don't get any of the ad revenue.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So anyways, it's always just fun to, so I guess the long and the short of this is, wow, it's cool that you still watch us. We appreciate that. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I'm glad actually that they were willing to comment and come back to us. It's a nice bit of excuse to be a bit nostalgic.
It's very
things.
fun. I feel like the further into we've gotten, the less we've started talking about content and the more we've just started talking about ourselves, and we've gotten very navel-gazy.
Yeah, that's true.
But clearly some people are at least okay with it.
Yeah. Well, it's a bit of an ebb and flow. I think there's been a couple weeks where there's really interesting new questions. The problem, I guess, with a game that's this old, a lot of the questions have been answered, and some of the questions, I mean, this was part of the motivation, right? One was just to demonstrate the glitches in a way that was better than just describing it.
Yeah.
But the second was to... did I lose my train of thought again? This is what I get for not getting enough sleep.
This is really
to
scintillating audio conversation.
Yeah, let me get back to that. Let's maybe start answering the next question. I had a thought, and it was totally relevant, and I just can't remember what it was.
Okay. So, the next thing is a set of questions. These are all basically the same question, but we're going to read out a couple of them, and you'll get the sentence. So, Hashir Azimi says, any tips on getting fast Nth Metal in Survivor? God's Fury GR says, how did you get so many Nth Metal? Any glitch that still works? Zions_lyric says, can you post a video on the fastest way to get Nth Metal? And then Fun Kids and Skits says...
responded to that.
Responded to that as a reply. Do we need to? Fastest way is the Survivor, you get them on the wheel. Easiest one is for multiplayer seasons. There's also Phantom Zone and rewards for special packs.
Yeah.
And so I like the Fun Kids and Skits said we. Like, they're one of the proprietors of the channel.
Yeah.
Do we need to make a video?
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you that's definitely not any of our YouTube accounts. We weren't accidentally commenting from...
Is it a thing? I feel like I'm missing out if I don't have a fake YouTube account to comment on other videos. I really just only use this one.
No, I think that's seen as slightly embarrassing. Or, you know, you've seen those stories, right? Where there will be some Twitter account who seems to really be strongly defending somebody.
Right.
And everybody's like, it looks like it's just that person who's made a Twitter account to exclusively talk about themselves. Because their only replies are like, hey, this guy's not as bad as you're all saying.
But somebody got caught. I can't remember. There's somebody famous who forgot to switch out and pretended, it was some old white politician in the U.S.
Yeah.
Pretending he was a black woman and commenting on something.
Yeah.
And he'd forgotten to switch his account. So not only was his name up, but you could see his little picture of him as an old white man.
Yeah.
Politician.
That's very funny.
It is. Kevin Durant did that too, basketball player. So he had his a sock puppet to comment on stuff.
Yeah.
And he got caught. Yeah.
There's a lot of times where people will accidentally do embarrassing things on their Twitter accounts. I feel like it's a dangerous thing. Sometimes having things with receipts where you are publicly known on the internet. There's a lot of times that Twitter has gotten people in trouble for different things.
Right.
I'm thinking about Ted Cruz and that
that
inappropriate
video?
tweet that he liked on 9/11 was the day specifically.
Oh, was it?
It was 9/11.
I did not realize that.
It was the day that he said that it was one of his aides, but it was his like personal account, not like the senator account. So, say what you will about that. Anyways, that's not important.
No.
I've mentioned the Ted Cruz tweet before, right?
Which one?
One of potentially the funniest tweets of all time, the Ted Cruz butter cow tweet.
No. Oh, there's...
I have to have mentioned it before. But it's one of the I think best tweets that I've ever seen on Twitter. It's really incredibly funny in a way that I find it hard to describe. It's Ted Cruz. And the image is him standing in front of at some fair, a cow that's been sculpted out of butter. So
right.
You know those butter sculptures that people do.
Yeah.
And the text reads, "Wow, a cow made of butter. My girls would love it. In fact, the first sentence Carolyn ever said was, I like butter." There's something really, really indescribibly funny about that.
Because her first...
The first sentence that she ever said was, I like butter. This is a terrible first... Well, first sentence, not first word.
So I like mom. Yeah. I like dad.
I like butter.
I miss you, mom. I love you, mom.
And I guess there's also something really... it's funny about it when you know who Ted Cruz is. right?
Yeah.
Because Ted Cruz is such like a strange and I would say broadly unlikable person. For his politics, for a lot of stuff.
Never mind the politics. It's a lack of integrity.
Yeah.
When somebody tells you your wife is ugly, accuses your dad of being some notorious serial killer.
Yeah.
And what you do is you say, "Thank you. Please, may I have some more?" It is. I'm just saying. I mean, it really is. Yeah. It's a lack of integrity. It is. There's a mercenary quality to it where you're willing to give up and not stand up for your own family for the sake of some sort of political favor.
Yeah.
And on top of that, it's poor. It's poor business because you're not actually getting anything back. You think you're getting something back just in case you're being really careful not to annoy somebody who's really ready to stab you in the back and stab your family in the back.
See, and I even think that part, that's hard, because that's him in a tough situation. I don't know exactly how I want to read that. Because it's, he's in a really hard situation. I'm sure that's gotta hurt. But there's also stuff where he'll, like, screenshot someone's tweet, where they didn't even at him, where he was clearly name searching himself, and then send people to harass them. He's got bad politics, he's got a lot of bad stuff. But so there's something about knowing that that's who he is, and that sort of, and just imagining what the household environment of the Ted Cruz home is, because I already imagine it would be kind of weird with that sort of terrible Republican used in a derogatory way, because he just sucks. He sucks in a lot of ways. But then also by some twist of fate, the first sentence that one of his daughters ever said was "I like butter." There's something about it that's so weird and absurd that I find it really funny. And that, while we're talking about it, my second favorite tweet, the Ted Cruz butter cow one, I think is very popular online. But my second favorite tweet is one that I haven't heard a lot of people talk about, which I really love. It's a tweet from the Big Bang Theory official Twitter account. It was posted on December 25th of 2020. The image is an ugly Christmas sweater that says Bazinga in yellow text, but the the text of the actual tweet itself reads, Bazanaga, it's already the holidays. Bazanaga. And I think there's something really funny about the Big Bang Theory Twitter accidentally misspelling Bazinga in one of their tweets.
Because that's not autocorrect.
No. I just think it's funny, because, I mean, that was like one of the biggest shows ever, and I know it's over now. Yeah. I'm not even 100% sure why it's still active. I guess maybe it's to promote Young Sheldon or whatever.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah. But I think it's really funny that this sort of cultural titan of an entertainment product, which is now sort of in its later years and in its time off the air, has been really sort of skewered, right? For its formula and for its approach to comedy and for the ways that it sort of lets that subtle nerd misogyny slip in and the sort of all of that stuff. And so some of the criticism's fair. Some of them, just the show isn't funny, which feel how you want about it. Right. But I think it's really funny for this really, really huge brand account to misspell its own catchphrase in such an entertaining way. And if you know the Big Bang Theory, one of the ways that people made fun of it is things like the subreddit Bing Bong Theorem, where they really break down the joke formats. I forget, there's a term for it, but it's when they break it down to an absurdist. I think it might be bone-hurting juice might be the term for it. Because there was like a Winnie the Pooh meme where somebody like Winnie the Pooh like drank something and then they were like, oof, ouch, owie. And then the last panel was like a meme that it was one of those memes where people would replace the text on it.
Right.
And so it was a version of the meme where the Winnie the Pooh drinks from it, and then the next panel is oof, ouch, owie, and then it shows you what's on the bottle and what the bottle's labeled, and the bottle is just labeled bone-hurting juice, or it's like oof, ouch, owie, my bones, and then bone-hurting juice. And so it's just been abstracted to the point of total absurdity.
Until you explained it to me, it was bone-hurting. And I thought it was bone hurting, like you were hurting bones, like there's a bunch of bones that were wild.
So there's a subreddit called the Bing Bong Theorem, which uses like that 3-panel thing where it's like it'll just be like knock 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 penny, knock 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 penny, knock 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 penny, and it's like, yes, Sheldon, and it's like, you don't even know science, and then the punchline will be like Zimbabwe or Babziki or just like
or Bazanaga.
Or yeah, exactly, something like Bazanaga. They'll go like bromangos or like
okay.
It'll just, and so it used to be things that broadly rhymed with Bazinga, and then it sort of spiraled into these things where it was literally just any single word that maybe sounded a little funny.
Right.
It would be like, Taziki. And so I love Bazanaga because it's clearly supposed to be Bazinga, but it's so close to that just gibberish, right? Where it feels like they've accidentally abstracted themselves to the point of absurdity, where they're saying Bazanaga, it's already the holidays, and there's not even a joke there. They're just saying, hey, do you remember the show The Big Bang Theory? Do you remember how Sheldon said Bazinga? Do you remember that? Was that funny? Do you guys like the word Bazinga? Here it is. And it's, I don't know. It's really, the more I'm describing it, the less I'm touching on why I find it so good. But I find this tweet absolutely hilarious. Bazanaga, it's already the holidays.
Yeah. Should we answer the question?
I mean, if you want to.
Okay, so I do actually. So, in general principles, one of the interesting things about this is clearly they are trying to get Nth Metal. They're prioritizing these. Everybody who's commenting is prioritizing Nth Metal, and the problem is, one of the issues is there's so many different currencies on Injustice. So there's power credits, which are important for getting gears. I think Gear Locker is still the best way to get gears and shatter them for shards or crystal shards, so that you can fuse them and just make them better. You still need alliance credits to get to unlock some of the support cards. And I guess if you want, no, you don't. There's nothing else that you can spend on support cards. I was thinking at one point that you could use, you can't promote Killing Joke Joker because we don't have the promotion glitch working.
Mm-hmm.
And then you also have Nth Metal for certain bits of promoting of your metal characters, and for the packs. And what am I missing? Valorium Alloy.
Mm.
And I will make the argument that Valorium Alloy is actually the most precious thing, because it literally will take you more than a year with playing the Phantom Zone events to get enough Valorium Alloy to max out your metal cards.
Yeah.
So the interesting thing about Nth Metal is, so the problem is there's too many things to do in Injustice. There's not enough time in the day when you're starting out and we're trying to accumulate stuff to get to the point where you can play around with different characters and not worry so much about grinding as you worry about just trying out different things that are neat.
Yeah.
And I think prioritizing Nth Metal in Survivor is probably not the greatest use of your time, because the easiest, I think, is ranking in multiplayer, because it matters less how much you do it. As long as you get a minimum kind of rank, you're going to be getting some Nth Metal.
Yeah.
And I think the way the schedule's worked out, that Phantom Zone has been 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off for a while now. And so for half the time, I think the best way to get Nth Metal, or the most useful way to get Nth Metal, is by completing Phantom Zone crystals.
Mm-hmm.
And you can make the argument, if you're really having trouble satisfying the tasks or completing the task, it may not be as efficient. But what you're doing at the same time is, with Phantom Zone, you can not only get the Phantom Zone crystals, you're also ranking up on or multiplayer.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're trying to, so for the 2 weeks that you don't have Phantom Zone, that's not a strategy. But I think related to a question that we get lots is, how do you not burn out? How can you still play this after years?
Mm-hmm.
Is that you back off sometimes when it's not available, knowing something's going to come back. Worry less about getting it now, trusting in that you're going to still be around in a couple of weeks. Playing Phantom Zone, resetting Phantom Zone if you finish all 3 buy-ins, or even don't buy in and just reset it.
Mm-hmm.
That it means you're going to enjoy. I think you're going to, well, at least I don't want to say you're going to enjoy it more. I think we've enjoyed it more by going with the flow a little bit, making the most of the things that are currently important, and then just playing to enjoy it and doing as many different things as you can without pushing yourself so hard that you get frustrated at not being able to get where you want to quickly enough.
Yeah. So that's the sort of philosophy. And for people, tips for getting fast Nth Metal, we don't really have that much. It's just, you know how to get Nth Metal. We don't have any secrets that you don't have.
Yeah. Yeah, and you get a sense too, right? Like you just have to, some things you just have to play a little bit. I think, if you play Survivor, that probably is easiest because you get the spins after each round. I think the payoff is one in, I want to say, how many slots are there? 16 slots? Maybe something more? Like the number isn't really high, but if you're getting through Survivor relatively quickly, it's not bad. Eventually you're going to want the Survivor gears and you're going to want the augmentations.
Mm-hmm.
The problem if you do that is, aside from the Survivor exclusive gears, if you spend too much time in Survivor, you're not spending enough time in multiplayer, and you're going to miss out on the multiplayer rewards. And listen, finishing challenges takes time too. It takes probably about an hour to finish each challenge. And I mean, that is pretty good considering that it used to take way longer to accumulate challenge credits in order to start playing the challenges. So chances are we're not going to be posting a video on the fastest way to get Nth Metal because that's not the kind of topic that lends itself to, like
we don't have a lot to say.
Yeah. And the reason why we have so much Nth Metal is that we've stopped buying Nth Metal packs on this account. Once we got Batman Ninja Catwoman to Elite 3, we're happy to wait randomly picking up other metal characters in the Phantom Zone. And if we ever get to the point, we could probably, it would probably be worth doing a pack opening video if we could set up an account and just try, because I think we did the Ultimates a while ago, but we never did the lower level ones.
That's true.
And it'd be neat to see what else besides the metal characters are available in each one.
Yeah, that might be interesting. Okay, well, either way, I think that's probably it for this week. So, I'd like to give a shout out to Eliza. I love to see some Jewish woman win. Kaiten. That's not even really... It's something she said recently. We're talking about Broad City, which was written, created, and starring two Jewish women.
Broad City?
Broad City.
Is that a TV show?
It's a TV show. It's a pretty good TV show. It starts out a little... It was from a web series. So it starts out with a little bit of that early internet web series kind of mentality, which is to say that it doesn't necessarily translate that well to like television. It's a little bit, bodily humor, a little bit sort of gross out. It's a little bit less
sophisticated.
Not even sophisticated, because
What's the opposite of bodily humor?
I don't know. I would say that the jokes probably were a lot better when it was like, or work a lot better for like a bite-sized like 10-minute YouTube video or something like that. Right. But it got really, really good. By the end of it, I would say they were consistently hitting their stride, and their characters became slightly more toned down versions of what they always were. So it didn't feel like, a fake or unfair change to make, but the show got really, really good. So I was talking about that with her, and she was like, "I love to see some Jewish woman win." So there's no joke there. Okay, it's just fun, and it was something that I'm pulling from for this week. So that's thanks to Eliza. And we'd also like to give a huge thank you to all the lovely folks who support us on Patreon.
That would be Bombo Ben, Consul Peasant, and Edwoon at the top tier last word, Sinemac and Mohammed Albshaiti at the Your Message Here tier, Shawn, Farrell, Daniel Simonson, Aaron Maule, Michael DeVries, Brandon C., Irvin Ruiz, and Eddydoo at the credited level, and Chris Wolf, Scarlet Danny, Awesome Gamer 2-for-1, Pavu RS, Gavin Malott, and Isfar E at the gratitude level.
Yeah, so thanks so much for all your support, and thanks so much to all of you for watching. We'll see you next time. Bazanaga. Bazanaga.
Okay.
That's it. Episode done. We're good.
All right.
And stop.